Hey guys, welcome to my August 12th DVD update. It's been exactly 2 weeks since my last update, and here I am again with another update. Can't get rid of me. Well, the first movie I got, I didn't think I was going to get it, and actually I even talked to a few people about it, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to watch this. But YouTube user The Muffin Show did a review of it, and he said that it was alright, it's worth checking out. He didn't like it exactly, he didn't hate it, but you know, I figured, what the hell, I'll just check it out. I mean, the first one I really liked. The second one, I couldn't even get through it. It was so bad. I think I watched like the premiere of it on Showtime or something, and I couldn't even sit through more than like 30 minutes. It was so awful. This one, though, was definitely better than the first one. Not even close as good as the first one, but it was watchable. And it's Starship Troopers Mulder, whatever, however the fuck you say it. And I think it's better than I thought it was going to be. They got that Casper Van Dam to come back, and he's not he's not in every single scene. He's in like 30% of the movie, and the rest of it's like other things going on. It's like, I think he's like on some kind of a colony, and then the bugs get out. He somehow gets arrested, and then like when the bugs get out, like the president of the city, I couldn't figure out what any of these characters were. Like, got sent to crash land on an island, like this other planet, and then the only one thing I did notice was the girl, and I don't know if anyone else is going to notice this, but if you look, you might notice the one girl who was in Camp Nowhere, who was the blonde-haired girl, the one that everyone liked in Camp Nowhere. She's in this movie, and like somehow I was like right away I recognized who that was. But the movie is all right. There's certain scenes of it I like what the Muffin Show was saying. It was really preachy, and it really is. It's like going on and on about God and God, like throughout the whole thing, and like it was kind of unfitting for the story. I don't know. It was kind of strange. I guess it was because they outlawed religion or something, and they were trying to bring it back or something. I don't know. The thing is, the CGI in this is really what killed half the movie. It was alright, but some of it was not that good at all. Like some of the scenes when there was a whole lot of the bugs attacking, they really looked like 1995 as CGI. Like nothing as... And I mean, I've seen independent movies with better CGI. Lots of independent... But this, for some reason, it just didn't look so good. The practical effects looked good. Like the puppet shots of the bugs looked alright. But I don't know. It's definitely worth watching. But like this thing that was like the Power Rangers looking thing, that like didn't look so good. And it was like this really ridiculous, pointless nude scene with like troopers, body scans, and they all get like fully nude and get body scanned. And it was like totally just a scene for nudity. It was like, well, we found a scene to put in, so we showed it all. It was like body scan. Like now they're gonna start doing movies, body scans. It was ridiculous. Next one was one I got sent, and it's the complete 11th season of South Park. And now what they're finally doing with these DVDs now is I'm happy, and I couldn't figure out why they weren't doing it before. Was they're releasing them uncensored? Before they did, they kept the beeps in, and I mean, for the last year or so on iTunes they had them uncensored, but the DVDs still were censored. And this one has a lot of decent, like really good episodes. I think the newest season I really liked a lot. This one though has what was the one? The Night of the Living Homeless one, which I really liked, which is definitely one of the best ones, and the Tourette's Syndrome one. And it also has the Imagination Land episodes, but if you already have that DVD, you're probably not going to worry about them for this, because the Imagination Land DVD has the extended version of that. And this one I found at Blockbuster, and it was one that I actually saw this DVD, like when I was in San Diego at this... the Horton Plaza Suncoast. I think that's gone now. It wasn't there when I was last time. And I remember seeing the cover to it, and I didn't get it because it was like $15 or something. And then I found it again at Suncoast. I mean, at Blockbuster, called Jack the Bear. It was only $4, one of those used ones. They were like selling off a bunch of these like $1.99 ones and $3.99 ones. And it's this Danny DeVito movie, and I'm pretty sure I saw it as a kid. And I think it's a very upsetting movie. It's definitely like not something that like boosts your spirits. I had to watch, Inspiring Pee-wee's Big Adventure after this, because it was so like a real downbeat My Girl-ish feeling movie. Like, oof, puts you in like a really depressed mood. Because like it's all about all these problems, and like Danny DeVito's like this big alcoholic, and like his son, like this, who's the kid who was in a bunch of episodes of you know, Full House, and he was in Kindergarten Cop. As a kid, it goes, girls have penises, boys have vaginas. And Johnny Depp, then Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, thanks for the tip. And then there was, he was also in, you know, Gabe, which is like, I think his most notable role in Pet Sematary, the kid who gets run over, comes back. And, this was actually, it was good, it was a good movie. I think it was Reese Witherspoon's first movie. It's good, but it's very depressing. And like the one thing I thought was cool is he's like the host of this horror TV show, like horror host, and then it's like there's this like neighbor who I think is like a Nazi or something, and then he kidnaps the son. It's so much weird stuff going on, and it's very strange. There's like just a lot of things going on in it. And this one, Shane Jensen's still getting, and I didn't really even get to watch much of it yet, because I've been busy lately, but I got Tiny Toon Adventures Season 1, Volume 1, and it has, I don't like how they do that Season 1, Volume 1 thing. I wish they would just have Season 1, Season 2, but I guess they'd have to charge more, and they're trying to cut the cost, and something like that. But I really like the show. The most memorable ones, I think, are the episodes or the movie they did, How I Spent My Summer Vacation, which I don't know if it's going to be in one of the volume sets, or if it's going to be in after they do the sets, they're going to release it separately. I hope it comes out, because that was one of my favorite ones. The one it's like the summer vacation one, and they go to like a Disney World type park, and they only ride the monorail and don't do anything. The next one I got, as someone requested, you said you have to, if you like these 80s movies, you definitely have to check this out. And it's Neon Maniacs, and I got it for like $2.99 or $1.99, $2.99 on Amazon, and to check it out. And I used to see this DVD at Borders all the time. I used to always look at it and go, the cover and go, like the cover, something about it, the cover, it's like, it kind of reminds me of like something from Goosebumps, like that didn't like make the cut. I mean, it's fine, but it's like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it has that goosebumpish look. But I actually like this movie. It kind of freaked me out in a strange way, because I think I saw it as a kid on USA Up All Night. Because a lot of times I get these movies lately, and I have this weird flashback, or like deja vu, like, I've watched this already. Not like, you know, I've seen something like it. Like, I've seen this movie. And I would have watched it when I was like 4 or 5. Because I used to always tape like USA Up All Night, or tape the horror movies on that and just watch it. Like the next day after I got home from school, I would watch the entire tape, you know, Gilbert Gottfried hosting it and all that, and I'm pretty sure I would watch these movies on it. And I also used to always watch Monster Vision, which was I think TNT or TBS or whatever, I think TNT. So I used to see all these things, but I never remember the name. But this was about like under the bridge, there was these like weird monstrous things. They never really explain the origin of them, or exactly what they are, or what their purpose is, or anything. But there's one scene like when this bum sees these trading cards and picks them up, and then he like, it's kind of weird. It's like, who made these trading cards of the monsters that come out throughout the whole movie? I don't know. But one thing I did like about it was the music, especially like they had this during the credit sequence. They had this really like synthish music. It sounded like you were going to watch like some Eddie Murphy movie in the 80s or something. It didn't fit at all to the movie, but it was like, I was expecting like, you know, Tootsie to come out. Like in, you know, Tootsie from the Tootsie, you know, movie Tootsie. I thought she was like, you know, the character was going to be like walking down the street to this music. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But like the synth music too, though, when the monsters are attacking the first attack, like this movie, I think the first attack scene with the monsters is the best, but then rest of it is not the greatest. I do really like, though, the scene on the at the train station. I mean, the subway. That's very cool too. And I'm back. The next one another one that I was sent, and it's Kenny vs. Spenny, Season 1, Volume 1, Uncensored. This is the Comedy Central version. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people confused with this, because they're like Season 1, Volume, like, you know what I mean, Kenny vs. Spenny, Volume 1. It doesn't say season. It just says Volume 1. And the thing about this is Season 4, for those of you who are confused. Season 1 and 2 and 3 came out from Canada, and 4 is coming out as well, which I'm probably going to get that too, because I have the Canadian ones. But this is the Comedy Central release, and I'm not sure if the cuts are exactly the same. I've heard some people say that they're a little different. The Comedy Central ones from Canada. This is the season though when Matt Stone and Trey Parker, I believe, started to produce the show, and I think the next season is going to be exclusive to Comedy Central. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure, totally sure about all that though. This though was a really good season. Like they did the who can gain the most weight, and the one they have to make. When they make like a YouTube video and see who can get the most views. This is definitely a show though that everyone has to check out. It's like these guys who can, like, they have these competitions like with one between each other. Like there's no real prize, but at the end, like whoever loses, they have to like go through this torture or like go out in the street naked or whatever, like something like that. But I really think it's a good show, and people told me about it before. And I think people who watch the show in Canada said, you have to check that out. And that's how I found out about a year ago. The next one is a BBC release, and this has been out a long time in Europe, and it's finally coming out in America. It's Space, the complete series. And I only got to watch the first episode. I liked the first one a lot. For some reason, though, when I first heard about it, I thought it was a show about like these guys in space or some kind of like spoof of Star Trek. I don't know. I didn't know anything about it, and like I never really read much into it or figured out much about what it was about. But it's the Simon Pegg guy who was Simon Pegg and the other guy, Edgar Wright, I think. I always forget the names of them, but the ones who was in Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and the other guy, Simon Pegg, was in Run Fat Boy Run, which I don't think many people saw, which I liked that movie a lot. And I think there's something else coming out next. I don't remember though. And these ones are these exclusive DVDs to Best Buy. And the first one I saw the cover to. Like I always like to watch all the Killer Bee movies, like Savage Bees, which I have the VHS too, like the classic giant box. I had like a hell of a time getting it. I think I spent like $50 online for it because I loved it. I remember like seeing it on TV once, and then I always wanted to rent it at Blockbuster. I think they got rid of it because I don't know if anyone remembers, like back when tapes were still in Blockbuster, there was a period of time when they actually had all these classic tapes still, like ones that were from like 1989, or like 85 to like 90. No, more like 84, like when tapes first came out up until like 87, 88, and they had all these classic big clamshell tapes. And then by about 94, 95, they threw them all out, got rid of most of them. They kept a few, but I always remember that Savage Bees was one of them. Then they threw it out at one point, got rid of it because I guess the tape broke. Remember Ben and Willard used to be in that same kind of tape box. And this was one, and I think this might have been one I rented then. It was called The Deadly Bees. The cover is kind of oddish. It's these Best Buy exclusive DVDs you can only get in Best Buy from Legend Films. And I actually thought this was kind of good. It's not like, don't take it as a really like great movie. It's about this singer who like has sort of she faints when she's performing this live stage. She's lip syncing to it, but she gets overworked. They like kind of overwork her with her job and singing and everything. So she goes to this countryside house that the producer is friends with the guy who owns it to like rest and everything. But then there's like these killer bees, these bees that keep on it's weird. They like the back of the box. I'm just going to warn everybody. Do not read this back of the box. If you read the back of the box, the twist is ruined. For some reason, it tells you who the murderer is. I mean, who's letting these bees free on the back. I don't know why. I don't know if it was a glitch or something, but it's about there's these two bee farmers on the island. One of them, and they're like kind of enemies with one another, and you kind of get the idea that one of them is letting the bees out, and then the bees go and attack the person and kill them. And the weird thing with the bee effect was, I don't know if this was shot to be 3D or something, because the bees look so bad. They have these real bees on people, and they have these like reddish things that are like attacking, that look so awful and cheap, but I like the way they look. They had this cool cheapness, but I couldn't exactly figure out why they look like that, because they had good effects of bees, and then they had this on top of them. it was very, very strange, but I would check that out because it's only $9. This one, though, was outstanding. And the cover isn't the greatest, but it's really good, and I'm glad they put this out. It's called Phase 4, and it's about this kind of ant outbreak, these killer ants that come out of the ground. And these two scientists like set up this really cool domish thing that looks exactly like the crystal thing, or at least similar to the crystal thing in the opening to Bill and Ted. Excellent Adventure, and they're like in this dome thing, researching these ants and like trying to get them to come out of the ground. And there's these amazing shots of like the cars driving with all this dirt behind them flying. It's very much an art film more than a horror film. And there's these amazing shots of the ants, which I have never seen anything with such good footage of bugs in my life. I mean, they actually got these ants to do things. They got so close and up on them. It was like these ants, it's like Bugs Life. It's very strange how it looked. They were so up on these ants, so close. I mean, and it didn't look shitty, and it didn't look cheap or anything. And there's also scenes with this yellow dye that gets on people. When these farmers that were supposed to leave the neighborhood, this dye gets all over them when they trying to get into the enclosed thing. And it's absolutely amazing the way it looks. I can't recommend this movie enough to everyone. I don't want to ruin anything about it, but everybody, I'm not kidding here. This is so fucking cool, this movie. Phase 4. I mean, and the scenes with the guys in these breathing masks and all this spraying, there's just so many cool shots. Like if you're interested in film, anything about film and shots and cinematography, you're really gonna like that. This one I actually got had early, and I've had this for a while, and it's called Rogue from Dimension Extremes, and I've actually heard people telling me about this for months, and it's finally come out. It's about these tourists that go out on one of those tour boats of like the Australian like wilderness, like looking at alligators, looking at birds and stuff, and they see a flare when they're out, and they're supposed to go back, but they see a flare. It's in an area where they're not supposed to go, but they don't want to leave the people because they think it's a distress. They can help them, so they go out into this sacred land that nobody really is supposed to go through. And when they get out there, they see a boat turned over, and then they go, "Oh, wonder what happened." And then their boat gets turned over, and they have to swim over to this little island, but they realize the tide is coming in, and the alligator that's out there is going to eat them, and they have to find a way to get across this rope. And I thought this was very cool. It's from the same guy who directed Wolf Creek, and this has some amazing shots though of like the outback and like the Australian and the rivers, like, and they really got close. And like this is the kind of thing, if I'd be like scared shitless actually being out there, because they were around these real alligators everywhere. It would be very freakish, and you'd probably get a million mosquito bites. But I liked it though. This one I got in the $5 bin at Walmart, and I always wanted to get it, but I kept waiting because I was hoping the widescreen DVD would finally come out, or they would release the Japanese version too. And it's The Adventures of Milo and Otis. And I watched some clips of the Japanese version, and it has this amazing like synth music throughout it, like this really cool synth music. I don't know if anyone knows where to buy the Japanese one, that you know, in a region free disc, or a disc that it's dubbed over or something. But it had a real coolness. And if you haven't, I'm sure most people have seen Milo and Otis. It's like, if you grew up in the 80s or early 90s, this is like something they played at schools, played it everywhere. The next one I got is Two Fat Ladies, the complete series, and I already have this from England. I played in the region free one, but you know me, I have to have the other one too, because like this is the, you know, the American release, so I could watch in the better player and upconvert, you know what I mean? And it's the complete series of the Two Fat Ladies, which, in my opinion, is the greatest cooking show ever. Although you probably won't want to eat anything they make. I mean, there are a few things that I want to eat, but some of the stuff has this really disgusting badness to it. I mean, I'd steer clear of most of it. But it's really fun to watch them make it. And they do these really weird stuff. Like, they go out and pick mushrooms, and like they always go to like, they cook for the nuns, and then during their breaks they go out and like pick cabbage and like have these really peculiar discussions about stuff and make these really silly odd jokes. And it's definitely the funniest oddish cooking show ever. And it's like, it's more like a sitcom in a weird way, because it's just so funny. I mean, everyone needs to see that. And this one, I think it was funny they gave it this cover. It's Batman. It was only $6. It's like the re-release version. I think it's just the re-release. And it's the original Batman Adam West one. It's out on Blu-ray too, but the version is like $30-something. I'm like, I'm gonna spend $30 for Batman the movie, the original one on Blu-ray. I mean, but it's the one with Adam West and Burt Ward, and like, I always liked this one. It's very cheesy and silly and all, but it was one I always grew up watching and had always liked. This is one though that I think everyone needs to check out too, and it's only $9 at Walmart. It's called Brutal Massacre, a comedy, and it's basically about these guys like who was like a director in the 80s and he still did stuff like through the 90s and like continued to do films, but they were all, none of them were as successful as his first movie. They were all like direct to DVD, or some of them went to theaters and they didn't do too well. Basically a lot of flops. And this is like a documentary about him trying to make his big comeback film that he hopes would be as good as his first movie. And has all these decent cameos in it, like Ken Furry is in it, Gunnar Hansen is in it, and Gunnar Hansen was really funny. Like, he hasn't been in too many things when he was really funny, like had comedy roles. And also, some of the women from Evil Dead were in this, and the other guy, Brian O'Halloran, who was from Clerks 2, and Mallrats is like that one datey guy. The other date, he's in it, and he was really funny in this too. And it's like them trying to put together this movie, and it's like doing a documentary about the making of the new film, and it's actually very funny, and I really like this movie. And the other guy in it is the guy who was an American Werewolf, and there's you see a lot of cameos in this. Definitely check this one out too. Now the Blu-ray discs, and the one I got sent was Top Gun, and I watched most of this movie. One thing I liked about it was like the synth music. Like, it had this really cool synth music and like these really cool 80s songs. And I think this is like the first Tom Cruise movie or something like that. Like, this is the movie that really got Tom Cruise noticed or something. I think that my favorite Tom Cruise movie was Eyes Wide Shut and Magnolia and a couple of those other ones, the weirder ones that he did. And I've heard, and I'm sure most of you know, he has this like really funny cameo with, I haven't seen it yet, but everyone's saying it's like the dirtiest role of his career, the funniest thing he's ever done, his cameo in Tropic Thunder. And this one I got, which was a pain in the ass to find, I had to order it, is Dark City, the director's cut, and I haven't watched it yet. But I saw the original one years ago and always liked it. But one thing I did read about it was people were mad that all the film grain was removed from the Blu-ray, and it made it look too new and freshish looking. It's supposed to have the grain to it. And the last one I got is, of course, another must-buy for Blu-ray. At least if you really like the film, I think you should get it. And it's The Lost Boys. And I have the second one, and I got that at Comic-Con, so that's why I didn't show this last time, because I had to order this one. Because for some reason, like, the Best Buy didn't have it, the one that I go to didn't have it the first week. And Best Buy is really one of the only places to really get a good selection of Blu-rays nowadays, because Suncoast is alright, but they're overpriced. I think the best way to get Blu-rays probably is on Amazon, because you can get them from like sometimes $15 to $18 new, and then used like $11 and up sometimes. And it's I watched this and it looks very good on Blu-ray. And they also cleaned up the audio, and the music sounds a bit like slightly remixed. I guess it sounds a lot better. I mean, definitely the new Lost Boys movie, Lost Boys: The Tribe, it's fine. It's good. It's very tough to really review the second one. I talked about it last time. There's just stuff about it that I didn't care for. I really like Corey Feldman. I'm just waiting for the next one. I hope they do another one, and then they have Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, and hopefully they'll get it together with each other and both be in that, and that would be the best Lost Boys sequel they could do. And because it's not the same without both of them. But of course, though, this is a must-see, and if you haven't seen this one, you definitely need to check it out. Well, that was my DVD collection update, and I'll see you all next time.